Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we just got some awesome support for the Tri-decks. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell in there so you can come part of our notification squad, and definitely check the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. So let's go ahead and check out these awesome new support cards. So first off, we have Forger of the Dawn, and if you guys did not know, these actually support the Tri-deck. So we got released in the OCG not too long ago that actually work with Cyber Dragon, Eldritch, and Evil Twins, which is really cool because those decks were created to help bring new players into the game. So let's go ahead and check out what these three cards do. Plus we have another free agent that we're going to check out as well. So this first card is actually called Forger of the Dawn, and this supports the Cyber Dragon Tri-deck, and it has a really cool effect that it actually is a level 7 light machine fusion effect monster with 0 attack and 20/100 defense, and it just requires 2 light machine monsters to make this card. It has 2 awesome abilities that if this card is fusion summoned, you can activate this effect that during the standby phase of the next turn, add 1 card from your graveyard to your hand with an effect that fusion summons, which is a great effect because you're going to be fusion summoning into this card, so you're going to probably have a card in the graveyard that helped you fusion summon in this card. Even if you use something like Super Polymerization, you can grab that card back out of the grave, or Overload Fusion, or even Power Bond to make this card, which would be really interesting to be able to do. But a really nice thing to note about this card as well is if you have something like Clockwork Knight on the field, it's going to turn every monster on the field into a machine monster. So all you have to do is have 2 light monsters on your opponent's side of the field, plus Super Polymerization to basically make this card, which is really nice. They do have to be light, but it's still very easy to pull that off. This card's second effect is when your opponent activates a spell or trap card or effect, quick effect, you can banish 1 face-up light machine monster that you control, or 2 light machine monsters from your graveyard to negate the activation, which is a really cool effect that this card is actually a spell trap negate, so you don't have to rely so heavily on Cyber Dragon Infinity as the only negate in Cyber Dragons. This card is a welcomed addition to Cyber Dragon and actually helps out a lot overall in the deck because it is a spell trap negate, and you're already going to have 2 light machine monsters in the graveyard when you fusion summon into this card, making it very easy to use this card as a walking negate. Plus the artwork looks absolutely phenomenal and reminds me a lot of C-107, the Neo Galaxy-Eyes Tachyon Dragon, mixed with like a Cyber Twin-ish like monster, which is super cool. This card looks amazing overall, and I absolutely love the artwork. Showing you guys a quick closer look at that artwork. So for the next card, we do have Flying Mary, which actually supports the Eldritch Tri-deck. So let's go ahead and check out and see what this card does. So this card is a Link 2 Water Zombie Link effect monster that has 0 attack points. But it is just requires 2 zombie monsters to make this card. Plus it has a right arrow and a left arrow, which doesn't matter too much because it's probably not going to stay in the monster zone for very long. This card has 2 really cool abilities that let you target 1 level 5 or higher zombie monster in your graveyard or banishment and place this card face up in your spell and trap card zone as a continuous spell. And if you do, special summon that monster, which helps you recover your banished Eldritch monsters, which previously was very tough to be able to do to recover the Golden Gucci Lord from Banished. But you can also recover cards like Doom King Ballardrot if you play this in like a Zombie World deck, which is really neat. This card's second effect is if this card is a continuous spell, you can actually target a level 5 or higher zombie monster that you control, destroy 1 monster that your opponent controls with equal or lower attack points. If you're playing this in Eldritch like it's intended, you can actually pop monsters on the field with 2,500 or less attack points, which is actually really good, because then you can use your copy of Huakero to be able to banish cards in the graveyard, but Conquistador plus this card gives you a double pop, which is absolutely amazing if you have this and your copy of the Eldritch on the field. Speaking of the trap monsters, it makes it super easy to make this card and get the trap monsters off your side of the field with your copy of Conquistador and Huakero, both being zombie monsters, so you can link them away into the graveyard to make this card, which is really nice. Again, overall, artwork is fantastic. This is actually my favorite of all the new artworks. It looks absolutely crazy. It's really cool looking. I love that it's actually like almost like the Flying Dutchman, and it's just really, really neat. I really like this card overall, especially since it just requires any 2 zombie monsters to make this card. Like, just that having that requirement for any 2 zombies right there is really nice for generic zombie support. So it doesn't just lock you into using with Eldritch. You can actually use it for just about anything, and it just puts itself in the back row to pop monsters is really cool. But this card recovering your banished level 5 or higher zombies is nice because you can get cards back again, like your copy of Eldritch the Golden Lord or your copy of Doom King Baller Drop that might get banished for any reason, because a lot of times players will try and banish the copy of Eldritch the Golden Gucci Lord to get it out of the graveyard so you can't keep recycling it over and over again. And that's a real problem with Eldritch, so this card helping you recover that is really nice. So for the next card, we have the Evil Twin support card, and this card is actually Little Magi Mage. This card is really neat for the Evil Twin deck as well. This card is actually a level 2 Dark Cyverse effect monster that has 0 attack and 1200 defense with 2 pretty cool effects. That during the main phase, if this card is in your hand, quick effect, you can actually tribute a Cyverse monster or a Link monster to special summon this card. That's a pretty neat ability right off the bat, because if you normal summon at your copy of Kill or Lilla and your opponent targets them with, say, an effect failure and imperm, usually that's the end of the game because you can't summon out another one unless you have Frost or Treat, depending on which one you already have on the field. But this card helps you out a lot because you can tribute that monster so that the targeting fizzles and they still go off, which is pretty neat. And I like that about this card. I could definitely see this card being played inside of the Evil Twin deck because it helps out a lot overall with that ability. This card's second effect also lets it gain attack equal to the total link ratings of link monsters in your graveyard times 400, which usually in the deck you're probably going to have a copy of the Kill, Lilla, and the Trouble Sunny in the graveyard. So you're going to have about 8 levels in the graveyard, or 8 link ratings in the graveyard, or excuse me, 3 link monsters in the graveyard, so you'll probably have like 1200 attack points on this card, but usually that doesn't really matter that much in this card, or gain attack equal to total link ratings of all link monsters in your graveyard. So it'll actually be 8, it'll be 8 times 400, so that's actually pretty big for this card. That's actually like 32, that's pretty big for this card, that you can get to this card very easily for those attack points. But overall, that first effect is really what matters to help you dodge cards like Imperm and Valor on this card's effect, which is really nice. I like that effect though. That's going to surprise a lot of players for the late game for that gaining the attack points, because it gaining the attack equal to the total link ratings of all link monsters in your graveyard times 400. So when you have the Kill and Lil in the grave, that's 4, and then the Trouble Sunny is another 4, so that's 8. Yeah, so 8, 16, 32. Yeah, this card could go to 32 very easily in that deck, which is just really neat. That's a lot of attack points that this card is actually going to have. And just to show you guys, this is actually what the Tri-decks are. Just to show you guys really quickly that this is the Evil Twin one that's going to be supported by that new level 2. We have the Flying Dutchman that is supporting, or the Flying Mary, excuse me, that's actually supporting the Eldritch deck. And then we also have the Forger of the Dawn that's supporting that Cyber Dragon deck. I really wish they would do this in the TCG as well, because I feel like this would help get a lot of players into the game, and it would be really nice to be able to do that for a lot of OTS stores to bring stuff into the game like this, because it would help bring more players into the game, that you could just have a full-fledged deck that you could pick up and actually compete a little bit in the tournament and see how the game plays with decks that are super simple like this, because the Evil Twin is just normal summon Kill or Lilla and then go into your Link 4, whereas the Eldritch deck is set a bunch of traps and then go in for your Golden Gucci Lord, and the Cyber Dragon is an OTK deck. So you have basically a Swarm deck, you have an OTK deck, and you also have a Control deck for all 3 of the different aspects, kind of sort of the way the deck game is played. And I really feel like this is one of the best representations of decks that should be suggested to players when they first pick up the game. So for the last card, we do have another free agent, and this card is actually going to be Final Bringer's Bellow. So this card is actually really neat. This card is actually pretty cool. I don't think it's going to see much play because it's very simplistic, but this card actually is a quick play spell that lets you target a monster you control and one card your opponent controls and you destroy them. I can see this maybe seeing play in Unchained, but other than that, I don't see this card seeing that much play. It makes me think of the double attack that we had back in the Legend of the Blue Eyes White Dragon a long time ago, where you had to like tribute 2 monsters and then pop a monster on the opponent's side of the field, but this card makes you go -1, which is a little bit of a downside. I'm not a big fan of this card overall because it does require you to pop a monster that you control and then pop a monster your opponent controls. So it's okay. The targeting is technically the cost. So if your monster can't be destroyed by card effects, you technically could target something that can't be destroyed by card effects. Maybe you could use this with the Sword Soul Supreme Sovereign that banishes something from graveyard. And then once you do, kind of like Sword Soul Blackout, but you already have Blackout, so I don't feel like this card's going to be needed in Sword Soul. So I don't really see a need for this card. It's kind of cool because it's based around the Final Bringer of End of Times, which is a really cool card. But again, don't really see this card seeing play. Overall, though, I feel like these cards are really good. I feel like these are fantastic for the tri-decks. All 3 of them are really, really good. And out of all of them, I really think this one's actually really good for Eldritch, and I feel like this one's going to see some play in zombie decks. I can't wait to get my hands on this card. And all of these cards are going to release, including the copy of the Final Bringer's Bellows. These are all going to release, actually, in Rage of the Abyss, so be on the lookout for that set. So, that's going to be this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Definitely comment down below which one of these cards you're looking forward to the most, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.